Royals baseball comes to you tonight from downtown Cleveland. And as the rain seems to follow the Royals wherever they go, not tonight. Sunshine, blue skies as the Royals begin a 3-game weekend series with the Tribe. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. It's the second series between the Royals and the Indians this month. The Indians took 2 out of 3 at Kauffman Stadium. They've won 11 of the last 13 season series from the Royals.
Ouch. Baseball players are known to have amnesia. Perfect time to get a case of that. Coming in here, look, they forget about everything they've done. It's all about the rotation. Look at the pitchers they've got going. If Kennedy can right the ship and get back his mechanics and get him his ball down in that strike zone, Vargy, Duffy, they can change that course to this series.
Indians surprisingly have the highest starters ERA in the American League. For Ian Kennedy, this will be his second start since coming back from the disabled list. He lasted just 2 innings in his last start in Minnesota. Sports and outdoors for all for less. Ian Kennedy struggled in his last start against Minnesota. He had mechanical problems and he threw a lot of breaking balls.
He did, but we're going to show you his pitch breakdown so far earlier this season. Forget about that last start. But last year, he had the most strikeouts on that fastball of anybody in the majors. If he can break that out tonight against the Tribe, we're in good shape.
It'll be Mike Clevenger for the Indians. When we come back, we'll talk about the Indians' struggles with their rotation, which has been a big surprise. taken off so far this year. They're second in the Central Division. They have the highest starters ERA in the American League.
Shocking, as good as they were last year, 1 through 5, but we all know the wear and tear of postseason can really weigh on a bunch, especially these guys. But the potential's there. There's a lot of season left, but if they're going to get back to the promised land, they're going to need it from the starting rotation.
Last year, that starting rotation had the second best ERA in the American League. Royals and Indians, the lineups and first pitch coming up next. Royals baseball is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket played gives back to Missouri schools, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by the Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest lasting full-size pickup on the road. Find yours at your local Mid-America Chevy dealer. Friday night in Cleveland, a bit on the cool side, but all things considered, a beautiful night, 65 degrees, and good to see this ballpark filling up again. After some lean years and the Indians down around the bottom in league attendance, they go to the World Series last year and they're starting to fill up Progressive Field again. Alcides Escobar back in the leadoff spot for the Royals. Jorge Bonifacio the way that he's been swinging lately. Ned Yost had him batting 6th. With Whit Merrifield batting 8th at second base, Alex Gordon hitting 9th in left field. All to face right-hander Mike Clevenger. And when you think about the Indians starting rotation, HUD, and all the weapons that they have, this was not a guy that the Indians were relying on this year.
No, but so far so good. Look, I mean, this guy 1.11 opponent's average. He's been tough to hit so far in his brief stint as a starter. Now he just got 17 in the 3rd innings in. But his fastball, changeup, slider, curveball, those are all been very good. Look at the opponent average so far in a small sample size. He's good. He's very deceptive. He's a confident young pitcher, and he's good. They're going to have to find a way to get a mistake.
Terry Francona in his 5th season. He's had a winning year in each of his first 4. And while the Indians haven't really taken off yet this year, they are 3 games above 500 and 2 games back of Minnesota in the Central.
If you're 500 and you're a manager, that's pretty good. If you're over 500, you're really good. Well, you got to have good players.
Or both.
That's right.
Escobar takes inside for ball 1. Wednesday night, Escobar swung at the first pitch of the game and drove Jacoby Ellsbury into the wall in center field and eventually to the disabled list with a concussion. And that's hit well into right center, and that's rookie Bradley Zimmer going onto the track to make the play. The wind is blowing in, and it's blowing in from right center field, so that wind did no favors for Escobar.
Yeah, and so far Escobar, that's too bad. We'll show you the defense, and we'll highlight Bradley Zimmer. Since right on cue he made the catch. This is his 7th career start. He's a rookie, and yes, he is the brother of Royals minor league pitcher Kyle Zimmer. I got to meet him before the game. He's tall, about 6'5", good player. So far they like him. Get in the stands.
Brantley straddling the line, and after thinking about it, Chad Fairchild, the third base umpire, will call it a fair ball catch. And that's 2 outs on 4 pitches for Clevenger.
Locate was just getting to the on-deck circle before Moose made that out. Sometimes you like to get to that on-deck circle, you know, a little bit early, kind of loosen up a little bit, get the pine tar on your gamer. A little bit of a moment, but okay, Locane's going to step right in there, see if he can find him some fortune here the first time up.
Been a tough trip for Lorenzo. 1 for 11 in New York and just 2 for 24 on the trip with 1 RBI. And that's hit hard to left field. That will go over Brantley's head and up against the wall. So the Royals have come out swinging against Clevenger, and Cain's at second base with a 2-out double.
That's his 9th on the season, and that's right. You get that first hit in your first time up. Ooh, yeah, looking for better things to come. That 1 hit on the road so far up in New York. Oh, that was a lean back homer, just kind of like that swing there. Except this swing, he got on top of the ball, and he hit it hard enough to get over Brantley's head. But the one in New York had backspin on it, and it went way out of the ballpark. Matter of fact, it could still be traveling. That was hit so well.
So that ties the amount of hits the Royals got against Clevenger back on May 7th in 5 2/3 innings. And then the Indians bullpen took over and did not allow a hit. And the Indians beat the Royals that day, allowing just 1 hit as a pitching staff.
Fastball changeups to lefties. Fastball slider curve to righties. First pitch there to Haas was a changeup on the string line.
Oh, 2.
You know, sometimes when you're a hitter and you miss a pitch, that's the one he wanted. That's right where he likes it. You'll make an expression, but Haas didn't. You could read it in his lips, but in his mind. But that's what you don't want to do, because the catcher sees you do that. He's not going to give it to you again. Haas wanted that one.
Cain takes off for third, but Hosmer's down on strikes. So Clevenger faces just 4 in the top of the first inning, gets around the Cain double. The Indians are coming up against Ian Kennedy. since coming back from the disabled list. He is 0-4. But a lot of that has to do with a lack of run support. The Royals have scored just 7 runs while Kennedy has been on the mound this season. He is the lowest run support average of all American League starters. Last year he had the best run support of all Royals starters.
That's right. Sorry, Rhino. I was going to just say that, look, he's only allowed a 193 opponent average. He's been fantastic. You can't do anything about the record, but hopefully his mechanics are good and sound tonight. If they are, they're in trouble.
Ball one to Jason Kipnis, who was a struggling hitter the last time the Royals faced the Indians. He was just coming off the disabled list with a sore shoulder. Almost hit him on the knee. And he's batting just .226. But he has hit safely in 9 of his last 10 games with 10 runs driven in. And that's outside. 3 balls and no strikes.
First inning is going to be really important for Ian Kennedy to try to get his rhythm, get his groove, get some confidence. Because that's 2 innings he pitched in Minnesota. We've never seen him like that before. And he's never had an injury like the one he had, he told me. He said it was a little bit different. It wasn't just a hamstring. It wrapped around to his groin on his push-off leg.
Mustakas should have room, and he does. 1 out. Kennedy comes back from 3-0.
Ford around the horn defense. Kansas City, we see Salvador Perez. Look what he's done. Thrown out 5 of his last 10, and that's good for 50%. That's over the last 15 games. He's been really good. He's, you know, the first 20 games or so, his pitchers weren't helping him. He only threw out 1 of 17. But look, it's all about the pitchers getting that ball home to him. We all know, and the league all knows, he's the best catcher on the planet. Yachty might have a little argument there, and Buster Posey could too, but if you ask both of those guys, they'll give Salvi a lot of praise.
Curveball bends in for a strike to Francisco Lindor, batting .274. He has a 10-game hitting streak. And he is hitting for power. Kane to the track, and he's got it right in front of the wall. And again, that wind is a factor blowing in from right center field. But Lindor already has 10 home runs. We're not even done with the 2nd month of the season, and his career high is 15.
No, he's going to get better and better. And this guy, Locane, he made that look easy. Now, that's a little catch there. It reminds me of Devon White, a center fielder back in the 90s that played 80s and 90s. And he had 7 Gold Gloves. Very similar style as Lorenzo Cain. And whenever Devon White would catch a ball, he'd catch it right just right over his heart and just above his shoulder. Had a little style points there, but he was really smooth. Locane had a little bit of, his glove was down low there, kind of reminded me of.
Two down to Michael Brantley, who has a 9-game hitting streak. Curveball is outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two and 1. Cleveland Indians last year won the Central Division. They won 94 games. And in doing so, only had Michael Brantley for 11 of those games. Off the end of the bat, Escobar cuts behind the bag and throws out Brantley, and the Indians go down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 1st. Brandon Moss are coming up against Mike Clevenger in the second inning. Clevenger, in addition to pitching very well against the Royals earlier this month, is also coming off the best start of his big league career. It's not a very long big league career, but was strong on Saturday against the Astros. Only 2 hits in 7 innings. He took a no-hitter into the 7th inning. He struck out 8, which was a career high for him, and it was his first major league quality start. Salvi fouls it off of his front foot. No balls and 1 strike. Salvi has 3 home runs, 5 driven in on the road trip through Minnesota and New York so far.
Got nice numbers.
Curveball's a strike. Salvi didn't think so, and he snaps his head back at home plate umpire David Rackley.
He'll make a little mental note of that big curve.
Now a slider is outside, 1-2.
Salvi sees more breaking balls than anybody else in baseball. I don't know the exact number, but I heard it the other day, and they do it for a reason. He don't miss mistakes, fastballs out over the plate. He's been on all of them. Big curve. Uh-oh. Salvi's not going to like that. That's 2 in a row he thought were inside. Well, great spot.
Bill Welke, the crew chief, is at second base with Alfonso Marquez at second and Chad Fairchild at third. Jorge Bonifacio, 2 home runs in the Yankee series, 4 home runs on this trip. He's driven in 7. So Ned Yost will bat him 6th tonight against Clevenger. Good swing at that hanging slider. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I was talking with a few of the Royals hitters today about Clevenger, mainly Merrifield. Whitley's 0 for 6. And they said that, you know, he's throws a lot of breaking balls, but some of them flatten out and you just can't miss the mistake. You know, he's going to execute some pitches, but you want to just wait for the mistake out over the middle of the plate. He'll make it now. He's on the corners there, but that's what a hitter does. If a pitcher's on his game and he's hitting spots and corners and he's not missing anything, he's going to be tough to barrel up. So wait for the mistake, but don't miss it.
Lindor gets a nice big bounce. 2 down. And now Brandon Moss, a one-time Cleveland Indian, the subject of our Kubota Power Stats. And now his bat is starting to warm up over the past week. 4 home runs, 4 driven in, 6 runs scored with an .852 slugging percentage. Hit 2 of those home runs on this road trip in Minnesota in 1 game. Looks at a fastball at 94. Clevenger's a fidgety, twitchy, high energy, rocking back and forth, taking deep breaths in between every pitch. I mean, he'll wear you out just watching him. Easy play for Brantley and an easy inning for Clevenger. Indians coming off an American League championship, and like the Royals in 2014, were a surprise team getting through deep in the postseason and losing Game 7 on their home turf, and using that as motivation in 2017. They haven't gotten going yet. 24-21, 2 games back of Minnesota. But Terry Francona teams here in Cleveland have had a knack of turning it on in June and July and never looking back.
No, and you know, when you have that starting staff like they have, that's a powerful thing, and that's 90% of the game. But then when you have a bullpen like theirs, I mean, there's lights out. The game's over after the 6th inning if they had the lead.
At the end of May, and here we are at the end of May, Terry Francona's team was 26-24. They were in 3rd place. The Royals were in 1st place. And then they went 68-43. That was the best record in the American League. They won the Central by 8 games and pitched their way through the playoffs. They had a major league record 5 postseason shutouts. Pulled foul by Santana, 3 balls and 2 strikes. They got through the Red Sox, then the Blue Jays, and then took the Cubs to Game 7. The frustrating thing for them, even though the Cubs seemed like a team of destiny, they had a 3-1 lead over the Cubs in the World Series.
They did. And that's, you know, one more to finish it off. They're heartbroken, but they'll get over it.
Kane waits for it to come down and gets Santana. 1 down in the 2nd inning.
Can they do what we did, the Royals did in 14 and 15, though? That's out there. I mean, I don't know if the Royals in 15 went wire to wire. We ran the gambit. You could tell the attitude, the players on the Kansas City side. They were, you know, we're gonna get this and we're gonna win it this year. And they had that mentality from spring training on. They're kind of going through some things with their starting rotation right now, but you know, we'll see. It's early in the season.
Edwin Encarnacion, and who had predicted that he would land with the Indians this past off season. He has 9 home runs, 20 driven in. He is not taken off yet. Up the middle, and that's where Merrifield is waiting. Kennedy has set down the first 5.
And he looks good. Mechanics look just fine. In Minnesota in his last start, you could tell from the very first inning that he was off. His landing leg was swinging way over. He was off balance. You know, and they got him out of there. And he told Dave Island, hey, look, it's not working. We're going to have to do some work in between starts here. Never seen him off kilter like that. And he's been so good. Last year, he was the best at repeating his mechanics from any pitcher the Royals had. Veteran guy, knows his ability, and knows how to work that fastball if he can just keep it right above the belt where Salvi's putting that target. Right there. Anywhere thigh high, a little bit above the knees, sometimes, you know, hitter will get to that. He's trying to do the best he can to keep the ball in the yard.
Two and one on Jose Ramirez. And a bit of a skid at the moment. He is 1 for his last 16. And the Indians, like a lot of teams, they have a combination of some hitters who are streaking at the moment and slumping at the moment. Deep right field, and all Bonifacio can do is watch it. Jose Ramirez hits a long home run to right field, and Cleveland leads 1-0.
Okay, now that's an inside fastball, and we've seen a few home runs here on this road trip from lefties in that area where the ball is located, taking guys deep. That's a nitro zone there. That's not a bad pitch, but Ramirez was able to pull his hands in. So you got to give him some credit for making some contact with that.
Yeah, you know, watching that replay, he threw him a strike on 3-1. He kept it out of the middle of the plate.
Yeah.
And if he hits a broken bat ground ball to second, you say that's a good spot.
Exactly.
That's a good pitch.
Yeah, he made a good pitch.
Sounded good.
Yeah, and you know, right away he knew it was out. I like the fact he put his head down and ran the bases.
Indians have a few guys that look like they might go to the same stylist that Salvi uses.
Yeah, I think our outstanding field reporter Goldie has got a little something on that lady. Should you call him a field reporter? Is that proper?
Sure. You can call him whatever you want to.
I'll call him Goldie.
Kennedy strikes out Gomes after the home run. 1-0 Cleveland at the end of 2. One and Fox. First, the Royals and the Indians at 3 p.m. on FS1. Then the Cubs take on the Dodgers at 6 p.m. on your local Fox station. You can also watch both games live on Fox Sports Go. And calling the Royals and the Indians will be Justin Kutcher and Tom Verducci, who joins us in the booth of Sports Illustrated, Fox, MLB Network.
I think you got it all.
And did I do it in the right order?
Yeah, I guess so.
There's a whole generation of fans now. Are you going to give them let them hold your baseball?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Can you talk without the baseball in your hand?
Yes, believe it or not, but all those titles, you deserve the rock.
Well, I'm excited about the game, obviously, and excited to be back here. It's the first time I'm back in this yard since Game 7 of the World Series last year. That was a pretty good game.
Now, for my generation, I'm always going to think of Tom Verducci and Sports Illustrated, but for the generation that's engaging in baseball now, they're going to see you on MLB Network and calling games on Fox and FS1. What did you want to be when you were a little boy? You were a Yankees fan, right?
I was actually a Mets fan.
Okay.
Believe it or not, one of the cousins of my father was married to Gil Hodges.
Oh, okay.
So when Gil was managing the Mets, we called him Uncle Gil. I was a Mets fan. But in the interest of disclaimers that need to be put out there, I'm no longer a Mets fan. Not a fan of any one team.
Did you want to be a broadcaster, or did you always want to be a writer? Merrifield is safe on a slow roller out to Lindor.
You know, I always wanted to be a writer. You know, back when I was coming up, people didn't do both. You know, you actually didn't like people on the other side of the fence, electronic journalism, print journalism. So for me, it was all about newspapers. I was a newspaper boy growing up, read the sports section before I delivered the papers, and loved writing. I thought, man, that would be cool one day to combine my love of sports and writing. The TV stuff just kind of worked out. The landscape definitely changed, and you have to be versatile in today's media environment.
Where did you go to college to get your education?
I went to Pennsylvania State University, good old Penn State.
I have a little boy who's interested in writing. Now he wants to write, movies and things like that, but he writes now. It's fun to watch his creativity.
I'm happy to hear he got the writing gene from you.
No, not from me. That's Mama's side. He's the artistic side. But Tom, you've written so many great articles in Sports Illustrated. What's been the most exciting time you ever had on visiting or somebody and then writing about it?
Writing about myself, actually, yes, because the most exciting assignment I had, I went to spring training with the Toronto Blue Jays in uniform the first week of spring training. I did everything the players did, live batting practice, all the drills, culminating in an intra-squad game the last day of the week for me with one at bat.
Who'd you face?
I faced Chad Godin. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For the Rays?
Yeah, a lot of teams. It's one of about 6 or 7. He's thrown up there 95, 96, a little cut and sink to it.
He didn't give you anything straight?
No. In fact, he told me after the scrimmage, he said, I was so nervous about making the team and wanting to do well. I didn't realize that was you at the plate. So he went after me. I'll tell you a quick story. First, because I wanted to do the story, not so much because it was my ultimate fantasy camp, which it was, but I wanted to give readers a really as up close a view of the game, ground level as possible. So what better way, right? So I'm thinking I'm going to get one at bat in my baseball career. There's no way I'm going to take a pitch, right? I'm up there hacking.
Good for you.
So in my mind, I'm swinging, I'm swinging, I'm swinging.
Alex is swinging, and that drives Brantley to the track and makes the play, bumping into the wall. Merrifield had rounded second, so he has to touch up, and he's back in time after 1 out.
So the first pitch is a fastball. And remember, I'm up there committed to swinging first pitch fastball. I get a first pitch fastball. By the time the message got from my brain to my hands to swing, it was in the glove. I didn't even swing, and I had committed to swinging. That's how fast the game is, as you know. Second pitch, I swung over a fastball. A little late on that one. Third pitch, 0-2 count. It was the greatest pop-up in baseball history. I popped up to first base.
Good for you. You made contact.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
So then when you went back and you wrote about the experience, I remember. I read that, and I thought that was so cool that you were able to do that. Now, who okayed that for you to get out there on the field?
That was at the time when the general manager of the team was J.P. Ricciardi. And when I presented the idea to him, because I wanted to pick a team, no offense to Toronto, they weren't very good at the time, where there wouldn't be a lot of attention. I didn't want to be a story while writing the story. So I asked JP about it, and I figured, well, no one's ever going to say yes to this idea, right?
Witt's running, and it's fouled away.
And he said, sure, just let me know when you want to come in. So I said, let me start day 1 spring training. I go in there. Probably day 2, I go in the batting cage. Roy Halladay's on the mound. John Gibbons is the manager. He says to me, you did sign a waiver, didn't you? I said, no, I didn't. He said, man, you're going to wind up owning the team, not writing about it. But I stayed out of the trainer's room all week, so that was a success.
Good. That sounds like something Gibby would say. 0-1 on Eske. And Witt's running again. Gomes coming up throwing, but it's offline, and Witt's in scoring position. Now, we are so closely connected to the Royals and watching them every day. We're going to have our perspective as to what has gone wrong up to this point with the Royals. But from a national perspective, what have you seen?
Well, I don't know what the story is with this team offensively, but 2 dead spots in the lineup right now, obviously, with Escobar and Gordon not playing up to their potential. And it's interesting that the Royals seem to be transitioning to a team with more power, which I didn't think I'd see as long as they left the dimensions the same at Kauffman Stadium.
Right.
And they're having a little bit difficulty, I think, flipping the script a little bit and playing baseball a little bit differently than we're used to in the past. Less contact and more of selling out for power.
Because there was this feeling with the numbers crunchers that, well, that was kind of a fluky thing what the Royals did, the way that they scored, right? You can't win with that little power and that low of an on-base percentage. But they did. I mean, they did it for more than 1 year. They did it 3 years, maybe 3.5 years if you want to count last year. But maybe there's this feeling that, well, eventually you have to do it the way everybody else does it.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in balance. You know, I like winning games in different ways.
Santana almost overran that. He goes to the bag, 2 down, and Witt goes to third.
But you guys see it every night now, how much the home run has taken over the game. It's fascinating to me that we have a record rate per game of home runs all time in this baseball season, and yet we have the fewest hits in a game since the advent of the DH in 1973. Wow. So what we have is a game predicated on power, and we're squeezing out some of that strategy and base running and small ball. And I like a more diverse game, and I think we've almost gone too far with the power game.
Here's Mustakas. Before you came to the booth, I was reminding HUD and our viewers that last year at this time the Indians were about where they were right now, and then they ended up being the best team in the American League from June 1st and on. I mean, do we just expect that from a Terry Francona team?
I guess so. I mean, I've always said, going back to Sparky Anderson, when I was just a little Cub reporter, I listened to him like, you know, he was the baseball elder with the word from above, and he always told his teams, just play 500 ball the first 2 months of the season. We're good to go. And he said you really start to separate pretenders from contenders after Memorial Day.
Chatting with Tom Verducci. He can stick around for another half inning as Clevenger works around the leadoff single and the stolen base. Our producer wasn't sure. Going further so you can. By Panera Bread. Panera caters for every group, every size, every meal. And by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Find a servicing Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. As we continue our chat with Tom Verducci, and he'll be calling the game tomorrow on FS1 with Justin Kutcher, with coverage beginning at 3 p.m. here from Progressive Field. We talked about a couple of topics we wanted to cover this half inning, but now Bradley Zimmer leads off for Cleveland. Of course, we have Kyle Zimmer in our minor league system. Both kids first-round picks. The Indians are really excited about this young guy.
Yeah, you know, I'm interested to see if he's going to be in the lineup tomorrow. He hasn't got many plate appearances against left-handers, but you look at Jason Vargas, who's going tomorrow for Kansas City. He's a reverse split guy. I'd rather have the left-handers in to kind of neutralize that changeup from Vargas. Interesting call to see what Terry will do with the young player.
2-1 on Bradley Zimmer. You were telling me that you've got something coming up for a cover story, and something I've been noticing in the game lately, and I'm glad you have as well. I've been asking coaches about this, but the comeback of the curveball. More and more pitchers, and Ian Kennedy's somebody who throws the curveball. Why is that?
Yeah, it's caught my attention last year in the postseason, especially with this Cleveland team going up against Toronto and even the Cubs in the World Series. heavy dosage of breaking balls. I think, and I was just talking to Hud about this, the analytics are changing the game. And you can see by the numbers and by spin rates who has a good curveball, and hitters don't hit the curveball. What gets hit are fastballs, and it's fascinating to me, and you guys see it every night. Velocity in the game today, the average fastball velocity has gone up 7 consecutive years. Keeps going up. It's up at 92.6 now. But conversely, pitchers are throwing fewer fastballs. In the last 15 years, the percentage of fastballs has gone down from 64% to 55%.
Wow.
The Houston Astros throw less than 50% fastballs, and I think it's analytics that's driving it.
Interesting.
Spin rate, hit velocity off the bat, exit velocity, you know, the launch angles and all that stuff. I was talking with the hitting coach for the Cleveland Indians today, and we were laughing, saying, well, in our day, Hud, before we even knew any of that, we knew we got under it just enough to get it out of the ballpark. We hit it far enough and hard enough. You know, we didn't need to know all this, but I think it's added
Launch angle and apex and all that stuff.
I think it's added a different dimension for our young audiences out there, and that's what we want. We want to reach the young audience, whatever it takes.
And I think that's a great point. And I spoke with Lance McCullers of the Astros about that. He's a big believer. Obviously, I think he's got one of the best curveballs in the game. Power curveball at 88 miles an hour. It's crazy with the break on it. And he said exactly what you said, Hud, that we can introduce baseball in a different way to a whole generation now, because you can measure things. Before, we just went by folklore. You know, oh, that guy had a fast bat. That guy had a good spinning curveball. Now we can measure those things.
Yeah. Burt Blyleven, he had a curveball from the sky that fell out. I mean, but now that you try to equate all those numbers, even though some of it's over a lot of our heads, it still adds a different interest.
Who had the best curveball you saw, Hud?
Doc Gooden, when he was young and then coming up in the National League. You couldn't hit it with a boat oar. It was unbelievable.
Somebody asked me that question. I gave the same answer. That was unbelievable. His curveball, big overhand curve. People might not remember this. I know you do. He only had 2 pitches. How many starting pitchers can go 9 innings as he did? Threw a lineup 4 times, just fastball and curve. Now I say just fastball and curve, but they were both off the charts great pitches.
Joe Torre started me on a Sunday against him one day, and after the 3rd time I struck out against him, I come in the Cardinal dugout and I look at him, and he's laughing at me, Joe Torre, as he had his hand over his mouth. I'm thinking, you know what?
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. My once a week start, it's against this guy. I mean, he threw 97. I mean, it was just electric stuff. But the fastball, all hitters love cheese. The harder the cheese, the better. But it's those breaking balls that you can't hit. That's why you see a lot of guys swinging early off a guy with a good curve. They're swinging early in counts to try to get the heater.
So if the curveball's making a comeback, that means it went away for a while. So in your story, do you talk about why most pitchers decided to go with a slider and got away from the curveball for a long time?
I didn't get into that specifically, but by the way, it's the 150th anniversary of the curveball. So happy birthday, curveball. Candy Cummings was threw the first curveball in October 150 years ago.
That's awesome. Okay.
So, yeah, as I said in the story, you can forgive the hitters if they don't want to celebrate that anniversary. But, you know, I think for a while, guys, and I think, Hud, when you were playing, it might be tough for pitchers to get that pitch called for a strike. I'm talking about the big 12-6 overhand curveball. And I think that technology, again, has made strike zones more uniform than ever before. And I think especially the younger umpires have been trained by a mechanical strike zone, if you will. One that's measured with lasers, essentially. And we have a more consistent strike zone, and you can get that pitch called.
Now, in case Mike Boddicker listening back home in Kansas City, his curveball was second best. It was a slower curve, and it had a much bigger break than Doc's did. But I remember he made me look foolish on it as a young rookie, with the Yankees, and they used to just laugh at me, and he would laugh too. I see Boddicker laughing at me because I couldn't hit it.
Yeah, well, you're not alone. Again, I think another difference is, remember that saying, fastball count, right? 2-0, 3-1. Hitter's got to come in with a pitcher has to come in with a fastball, and the hitter sits on it. I don't think that's the case anymore. More times than not, if it's not a breaking ball, it's going to be a cut fastball. Very rarely do you see that straight 4-seam fastball in fastball counts.
Really interesting. And I've been noticing, early in our game, HUD will go over a pitcher's arsenal and the percentage of times they throw each pitch. And I've been surprised how guys with good fastballs are only throwing it, 55, 60% of the time. And now you're saying, first place team like the Astros are using it less than 50%. Here's a guy right here, Danny Duffy, who's completely turned his career around and has a tremendous fastball. But HUD in his last few starts, he's thrown as many sliders, if not more sliders. He calls it a slider. It looks a lot more like a curveball. He can call it whatever he wants, but he's been throwing it at the same rate, if not more, than he has his fastball, which goes against, decades and decades of thinking.
And that's what McCullers told me about. His father obviously pitched in the big leagues. Excuse me. The idea was establish that fastball, your breaking ball, as a secondary pitch. And Lance told me that's not the case anymore. He looks at his pitches on the same plane. They're both power pitches for him, and they're both feature pitches. And go back to Drew Pomeranz and Rich Hill, guys like that who have made their career now by throwing more curveballs and fewer fastballs.
Kipnis drives Alex to the front of the track. He knows that Zimmer may be tagging, so he gets behind it and makes a strong one-hop throw to Mustakas. After the 2 walks, 1 down. Sorry.
No, my fault. Let's see if Kennedy can wiggle out of this. You can't walk the 8 and 9 batters against a team like Cleveland. However, though, they're only hit 203 with runners in scoring position. But watch Alex. Tom, he's been struggling offensively, no question. But this season is my 6th with covering this ball club, and he's playing the best left field I've ever seen any player ever.
And that's saying a lot, even if it's his best defensive year. I always say, looking at Alex, if you want to teach somebody how to play the outfield, textbook.
Exactly.
Saw him right there, get right behind the ball, gets on top of the ball. He never throws a throw from the outfield to me that tails or cuts. Very true spin on his throws.
And I was very fortunate to play with 8 Hall of Famers and all the teams I played with. And Tim Raines was an excellent left fielder. He could play center field, but Alex is more detailed. It seems like the scouting report, he reads all the hitters, the charts, and how they, where they hit the ball and stuff. And he's always in the right place at the right time. Plays the ball off the walls immaculately. Knows how to dive. Dives to his left, right, comes in as good as any I've seen.
Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. And if you've been following the Royals all year, they've struggled with runners in scoring position. But right behind him are the Cleveland Indians, who are hitting just 203 with runners in scoring position. And now they have Lindor at the plate with 1 out. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, there's another way that analytics have improved the game. Alex probably has a lot more information than Tim Raines did in his day, knowing about the tendencies of hitters.
Having played Minnesota on this road trip here, Rhino, I'd like to go ask Mauer how many hits Alex Gordon has taken from him. Right? I guarantee he'll say a whole boatload of them. Because that's where Joe hits the ball. He's always going inside out. Seems like Alex knows where to play.
Lindor drove Kane to the warning track in center field in the first inning.
But I know, Tom, you're going to do an article on curveballs, but Kennedy last year, he struck out more batters than any other pitcher in baseball with his fastball. And it's 4-seamer, the spin rate on his fastball, I've never really gotten a number on that, but it almost has 2-seam action. It has a little bit of tailing action, and he doesn't throw a 2-seamer.
Yeah, curveball right here to try to get himself out of trouble. But you're right, to me, his fastball is a high spin 4-seamer, so it's a gravity fighter. It doesn't sink as much as a hitter expects it to sink, so that's why you see swings and misses below his 4-seam fastball when he gets it up.
And I know it's impossible for the ball to rise in baseball here, but it seems like there was some pitchers I faced the ball would rise. Sid Fernandez would throw up under his shoulder, and it looked like it rose, and it was a heater, looked like belt high. Next thing you know, I swing and foul it straight back, and I'm thinking, I can't hit that pitch. And so I would wait for his breaking ball, and I would just try to sit on a breaking ball.
Yeah, it is an optical illusion because, like I said, as a hitter, you see thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of pitches that you begin to expect where the ball is going to track out of the pitcher's hand. And those high spinning 4-seamers don't sink as much, so it does appear as if it's going up. There it was right there.
What did Chad Godin's fastball look like? Did it look like it was going up?
It sounded good.
I love the fact that by the time his brain told him to swing, it was too late. And that's how fast it is.
I'm telling you, people, that's why I went down there on the field. You know it, but to me, to tell a fan that you think this game looks fast when you're watching on TV, when you're 60 feet 6 inches away, man, it's like the bullet train in Japan, that pitch coming in.
Believe it.
All right. So Sparky Anderson said play around 500 the first 2 months, and then the cream rises to the top. If you look at the standings, there's some cream that has not risen to the top yet. The Blue Jays, the Royals, the Rangers, the Mariners, the Mets. Who do you predict will be there in the end of those teams?
Oh boy, that's a tough one because a lot of injuries, those teams.
Lindor into right center field. He will drive in one. So Zimmer, who walked to open the inning, he comes around to score. And Robertson, who also walked, he goes to third, and the Indians lead 2-0.
Well, Huddy tried to triple up with fastballs.
Not to that guy.
No,
He's having a heck of a year. Yeah, way too many. And he didn't try to do too much. That's what it's very impressive about this young Lindor. He's switch hitter. He's like he's been in the league for 10 years. He didn't want to try to juice one. He knows that they're having a hard time getting runners home with runners in scoring position. He just shortened up and just tried to put it right up the middle. Did it.
He's such an impressive player, and he's showing me more power than I expected to see out of him as well.
Now Brantley with runners at the corners.
Well, let me say this about the Royals, because I know, everybody's in a hurry to start moving players. It seems like we start talking trade deadline in April. To me, you've still got at least till the end of July to play around 500 baseball. So Kansas City, to me, is not in a position where they should be thinking about moving players. I think the talent here is still too good to give up on. And maybe eventually it does get to that point. But last year the New York Mets were 2 games under 500 in August, and they're playing in the wild card game. So I do think general managers have to be honest about where their team is. If you're headed in the right direction and you're 500, that's good. Sometimes you're heading in the wrong direction. You have to be honest, the way the Yankees were last year. Sort of pulled the plug by moving Miller and Chapman.
And that's line to right field and off the top of the wall. That missed a home run by inches. So the 2 walks to begin the bottom of the 3rd inning have both scored. Lindor goes to third. 2 long singles, RBI singles for Lindor and Brantley, and the Indians lead 3-0.
You called it, Hud. Walking the 8 and 9 batters to start the inning is inviting trouble, and trouble has arrived.
Yeah, he tried a little wrinkle there, but it was up. It was elevated and a good pitch, and these hitters, it's amazing. You talk about when a pitcher executes where he wants, it's how difficult it is to square it up. But when they miss, the hitter don't miss. It's amazing how good they are. Even when you throw a pitcher's pitch, like Kennedy did early to Ramirez, when Ramirez hit his 7th home run, that was a pitch that was a breaking ball that was in on him, and he still was able to pull his hands in and hit it out of the ballpark.
Tom, it's interesting you bring up the Yankees, because for me, I thought that was really a shockwave, because that was something the Yankees just don't do. And now, they benefited. They really stocked themselves and still almost made the playoffs last year. And I wonder how many teams out there were affected by that and saying, okay, this is no longer a small market, large market dilemma that a team comes up with the trading deadline. This is about just making smart long-term decisions for your baseball team.
Yeah, exactly. And that didn't happen easily. Brian Cashman really had to work Hal Steinbrenner to convince him that it was the right thing to do. And then on top of that, they brought back the guy they traded, one of them, Andrew Miller. So you get Gleyber Torres, who's now playing third base in AAA and maybe up soon. And you get Chapman back as well. It's all about, to me, today's game, where are you on the winning curve? And to me, I think the Yankees understood they were not a team that was a postseason team last year in August or July. And they were honest enough to say, let's see if we can reboot this thing. And they're certainly reaping the benefits right now. They have a very good farm system besides the guys up now.
Snap throw down to third and close, but Lindor is back. So what about Toronto, Texas, Seattle, the Mets? Who's going to be there in the end?
I like Texas. I mean, I do think Houston is the best team in the American League. But I do like Texas as a wild card contender. There's something about that team that they have a very good culture. They win a lot of close games, and a lot of people say that's luck. It's partly luck, partly a job that Jeff Bannister does with that group.
Hit a mile, but foul.
You know, they're getting Adrian Beltre back will help. Later on, Cole Hamels. So they've kind of weathered the storm here early on through some injuries. They're just fine there at 24-24.
It's got to be one of the longest calf strain disabled list stays that I can think of. I mean, that was bothering him early in spring training.
He's not so young anymore, like the rest of us.
Gonna have to hurry. Out at second, and no double play. Santana beats it out, so another run scores. And the Indians have 3 in the 3rd inning for a 4-0 lead.
That's one of the rare times a pitcher wishes the guy hit the ball harder, right? Gets the weak contact off the end of the bat, rolls over, just as you said, not hit hard enough to get to.
Tom, you get to do tomorrow's game. You get to see Vargas. I call him Dr. Vargas. He sharpens his scalpel because his scalpel, when he's on, he's hitting these, he's cutting the corners. It's amazing. His first 3 or 4 starts this year, he didn't miss once over the middle of the plate. Hitters were perplexed. They're like, oh my gosh, how do you hit this guy? And his command was beautiful. So you'll see him if he's on good tempo. Love his tempo. He gets the ball and throws it, keeps the defense. He's a veteran who worked so hard last year. He's all chiseled and cut, and so he's reaping the benefits of that hard work.
Yeah, and I think that's a key for me with Tommy John. Anybody who gets the Tommy John surgery, I know there's a myth that guys come back stronger than ever, they throw harder than ever. It's really about establishing, you know, your physical health. And you can't throw a baseball for 2-3 months. You take care of the body, core gets stronger, shoulders get stronger, and I think he is reaping those benefits. I saw that happen with John Lackey. You know, Lack was really running down physically by the time he blew out, age 32. And he's a better pitcher now, I think, than he was before surgery. And looks like Vargy could be another one of those success stories after surgery.
Getting back to something we were talking about with all the fastball velocity in the game these days and tying it into Jason Vargas, he has the advantage of there just aren't many guys in the game today who throw 86, 87 with a fastball. Guys don't see that anymore.
You're right. He does a great job of mixing it up. Looking at his mix, he's got 52% fastballs, 48% off speed, and he can throw them at any count, any time. So his ability to command the baseball and change speeds is it's fun to watch. I like watching that kind of pitching. You know, Kyle Hendricks in Chicago, the guy from the right side, very similar. It's fun to watch going up against the guy who can throw 99 tomorrow in Salazar. Quite a contrast.
Santana's running. Bonifacio back. That ball's carrying on him, and he brings it down. Tom, thanks for all the time, and we'll look forward to hearing you tomorrow with Justin Kutcher.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Way to go, Tom. Thanks, buddy.
4-0 lead. Get more bang for your buck this season at Kauffman Stadium every Friday night home game, May through August. That'll include Buck Night and summer fireworks. Eat all the hot dogs and peanuts you want with Buck Night, presented by Price Chopper. And finish strong with summer fireworks, presented by Popsicle and Price Chopper. Get your tickets at Royals.com. Visit an area Price Chopper location or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. So Kane, Hosmer, and Perez with the Royals down 4-0 in the top of the fourth. Mike Clevenger has allowed 2 hits in his first 3 innings, and he struck out 3. One of those hits was a Lorenzo Cain double to left field with 2 outs in the first inning. One and one. Right to Ramirez, who goes down to a knee and throws a strike to Santana. 1 down in the fourth. Eric Hosmer comes to the plate, and we go down to Joel.
Well, we had a chance, guys, to take a look at Bradley Zimmer, and he is out there now in center field. I had a chance to talk to him today about his older brother, Kyle, and they said about 2 times a week talk and text. He said that they know that at some point Kyle's still trying to get healthy, but he's on the mend again right now. And at extended spring training, he said that he believes that they will face each other. We know it's going to happen. They're excited about the prospect of facing each other, guys, but he said that really it's their mom and dad, Kathy and Eric, that'll be excited and equally nervous when it happens in the big leagues. It'll be the 4th brothers to face each other, pitcher versus hitter, in the last 50 years. Norman Larry Sherry in 1963, Julio and Rudy Lugo in 2007, and of course we know George and Ken Brett back in the 70s.
3-1 on Hosmer. Thank you, Joel. That's not very many. You think about all the brother combinations in the major leagues.
Change up.
It was a curveball that Clevenger used to strike out Hosmer in the first inning. Off the plate and foul.
You know, Bradley Zimmer's done his part. He's gotten here. And he told me before the game, I had a chance to meet him, that he's just played a couple of years in the minors. I mean, you have that kind of talent, and there's a need at the big club. He got called right up here. And I heard from Brad Mills, the bench coach of Terry Francona, saying that this kid, he takes terrific routes in center field, and he's extremely fast. He can run. He's 6'5", 220s. He's a tremendous athlete. Brother Kyle's going to Arizona. He told me, I asked him if he's heard from his brother. He said, yeah, he's going to Arizona, do a little bit more rehabbing, and they're going to send him right back to Omaha. He expects good things from him.
You can only do what your body will allow you to do, and yet there's got to be a little extra motivation when little brother's in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. You know Kyle's feeling that, but you can't push it before it's ready. Haas having a good AB here. See if he can win it. Royals got to get back to get some men on base and get a few hits and chip away and get back in this. Don't let them get carried away, because we talked about how good their bullpen is.
Oh, that may get him a base hit.
Put that in your pocket.
I won't even call that a half swing. It's a swing, and it's a base hit with 1 out.
Look at, he said, I'll take that. Now, he won't look in the dugout, though. Look, he's not going to look in there because he knows the guys are. That right there is a half swing, but a full swing, and it didn't go 15 feet. And even Kipnis was backing up the throw there, was laughing at Haas. But There's no such thing as a unwanted hit. They're all beautiful. Little 2-run bomb, get him right back in.
Salvi struck out looking at a curveball twice in that at bat. He wasn't happy with the strike zone presented by David Rackley, both on curveballs. Now a fastball is pulled outside of third base.
That was great that Tom Verducci gave us some time to come up here, man. We could pick his brain, you know, he's smart. Now he's a wordologist. You are too. But he gets features in SI.
No balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, I mean, people are getting to know him now as a broadcaster, but I mean, he is and I'm saying something that everybody knows and has known for a long time. I mean, he's just a great writer. I mean, he takes a good story and makes it great. One and 2. Another strikeout for Clevenger with his curveball. He has struck out 4, and the second time he has gotten Salvi with that pitch. 2 down. Jorge Bonifacio comes up, and so does our sprint trivia question. Royals Hall of Famer Paul Splittorff is the Royals franchise leader in wins against 6 different teams. Name them.
It's impressive.
Well, let's start with Cleveland. That's one of them.
Well, you know, he was a Yankee killer.
Okay. Indians, Yankees. Ball one on Bonifacio. He grounded out to short. Grew up in the Chicago area, so I'd imagine he got pretty fired up when he'd face the White Sox. That's another one.
Okay.
Bonifacio goes the other way. Hosmer stops at second. 2 on with 2 out.
Check out Bonifacio going down and getting this to the opposite field. Our Missouri Lottery Fox track shows you that. Great head position. He is such a fine, easy swinger and does not jump. Quiet. Look at his lower half. Barely steps. That back leg kind of comes out a little bit, but that keeps him on the ball and stays through it so well. Very nice to see when he hits, whether he's a home run or an opposite field single.
0-1 on Moss. Landed flight out to left field his first time up. He's homered 4 times in his previous 7 games. He's hoping to turn a 4-0 game into a 4-3 game. And he drills it to deep right field. That is exactly what he does. Brandon Moss with his 5th home run in his last 8 games. And the Royals get 3 with 2 outs in the top of the 4th inning.
Oh, that's exactly what Kennedy wanted, and he needed to get back in this game. He said, fellas, I made a couple mistakes walking the 8-9 hitters. Now pick me up. Off-speed pitch down low in the wheelhouse of Moss. Oh, baby, he stepped all over that. Topspin, too. We've seen the strength in him. That ball dropped out of the skies because it had topspin on it. Clever's just saying, oh, man, that's the first home run anybody's hit off me this year.
Witt singles to right field. So another addition of 2 hit Witt after an infield single in the 3rd. 3 straight hits for the Royals with 2 outs. Witt had already extended his hitting streak to 11 games when he singled in the 3rd inning, and now look at our Toyota League leaders. That ties him with Francisco Lindor, who's also extended his streak tonight, as has Michael Brantley.
Witt got his 2 hits with 2 outs. That's nice. Keep it going. That little half swing infield single by Haas was timely. Take it, Bonifacio. Now the home run. Whitley going to right field. It's time for a discussion with Mickey Callaway, Tribe pitching coach, saying, hey, look, you're facing Alex Gordon. Forget about that ball he hit opposite field, and Brantley made a great play. He's due. Be careful with him. He's overdue right now. Let's see if Alex can give him the lead here. That man right there. Give him the lead. That ball that Alex hit to Brantley off the wall in that 3rd inning, very good to see. Hitting with some power the other way. Alex continuing to make adjustments to get out of pull mode. You know, there's 2 outs now, but I think Ned probably understands too. To help Alex get out of it, maybe he puts more hit and runs on him with runners in base. He's got to get Alex swinging down through the ball, not uphill. He's swinging uphill a lot. So we're not going to do it here with 2 outs, but when you see a runner going and your job is to make contact on that pitch, sometimes it helps you get it on the ground.
Not only does Moss's home run give the Royals 3 runs in a hurry, it puts an end to an 0 for 34 for the Royals with runners in scoring position. Which has got a great jump, and Alex fouls it away.
Yep, you can't get a bigger jump than that. Watch this. He takes off and guessed right before he picked up his foot. That's having the time down. Now you're going to have to leave like that if you're going to get a steal on Clevenger. It's an extremely quick home. Tough to steal off him with it, but Whitley, he timed him just right. Because he's quick. He's like 1-2, 1-1, 1-2 home.
Curveball struck him out. Inning is over, but thanks to an Eric Hosmer 1-out infield single, a Jorge Bonifacio 2-out single, and a Brandon Moss 3-run home run, it's a 1-run game. Brandon Moss, Royals designated hitter tonight, hitting a 2-out 3-run home run in the top of the 4th inning and making it 4-3 Cleveland. And now our University of Kansas Health System injury report update. Lonnie Chisenhall was placed on the disabled list by the Indians after a slide at home plate when the Indians were in Houston. And so he's out. Austin Jackson, the veteran outfielder, was taken off of the disabled list today by the Indians. And the Indians are hurting a bit right now. They've got Corey Kluber on the disabled list. Kluber is pitching a rehab game tonight at Double-A. Brandon Geyer's on the disabled list. Abraham Almonte and Lonnie Chisenhall. So their ace and 3 of their outfielders are on the shelf. Chisenhall going down.
Yep. Well, got a report on Kluber. He pitched in Akron, their Double-A team today, and he went 5 innings.
Witt out into shallow right. Hosmer had to hurry to get back to the bag in time for the out.
Hey, that's not a routine play now, by the way. He was on it. He broke right on contact, but at the last minute, that ball tried to crawl up Merrifield's arm. Tried to crawl up him, but he was able to use it. This is what we call soft hands. Ball hit the lip. See the lip between the dirt and grass right there? It hit that and came up on him. He was ready for it. That's a big out for him to come through and make that play for Kennedy for out number 1. Anyway, 5 innings he pitched, just gave up 1 hit, no runs in Akron. So Kluber will be back. I think the Royals are happy they don't have to face him in this series.
Royals will see the Indians again during the next homestand. The Royals have another long homestand coming up. We'll finally see the Tigers for the first time to wrap up May, then the Indians, then the Astros for 4. 1-1 on Yan Gomes. He struck out against Kennedy in the 2nd inning. Kennedy's only strikeout so far. Two and 1. Gomes had a rough April, hitting under 180, but he's picked it up in May, hitting right around 330. Breaking ball makes it 2-2. Fastball right by him. So both of Kennedy's strikeouts tonight have been against Yan Gomes. 2 down.
That's that fastball above the belt. Good location.
And now Bradley Zimmer. Zimmer led off the 3rd inning with a walk, and then Daniel Robertson, the number 9 hitter, followed with a walk, and they both scored. Bradley Zimmer, like his older brother Kyle, was drafted in the 1st round. Kyle in 2012, Bradley in 2014, and like his brother Kyle, he went to the University of San Francisco. Two and 1.
Joel was reporting on the brothers in combination facing each other, and he said he missed the Rasmuses.
Oh, that's
Corey?
right. Colby and Corey.
Right.
3-1.
Shame on Joel.
You know who he reminds me of at the plate, just because he's big and lanky in his stance? Steven Moya with the Tigers. You know, their big right fielder.
I remember him.
6'5", long levers. His hips are just under his armpits, big long legs. 3-2.
Now he's got, coming into this game before his walk, he had 9 strikeouts and 21 at bats. So you know he's going to swing and miss. Power hitter. I was watching him in batting practice today. He was lining some balls to the opposite field nicely. He's got some power. Not there.
Kennedy strikes out 2 in a 1-2-3 bottom of the 4th inning. Ball is brought to you by Dodge. Test drive a Dodge Challenger or Charger at the Dodge Memorial Day sales event going on now. Good looking waves off of Lake Erie.
Where are the boards?
Yeah, it's just like Huntington Beach, right?
That's what I thought.
Not quite.
It's time to put a smile on that Royals fan's face right here and put an inning together and get Clevenger out of the game. How about that?
Breaking balls inside to Eske. He flied to the warning track in center field in his first at bat, and then he grounded out to first. One and one. Royals scored 3 runs with 2 outs in the 4th inning against Clevenger, with Brandon Moss hitting just the 3rd 3-run home run for the Royals this year.
Power's there, but more solos.
Ramirez comes up from 3rd, and he'll bring it down. 1 away in the 5th inning. Let's go to Joel.
All right, Ryan, our Panera game break will take us north of the border to Toronto, and that will be Devin Travis with the grand slam. It comes off of A.J. Griffin, and I don't mean to pick on A.J. Griffin. It's the second time we've shown him on this road trip, but the pride of the Grossmont Foothillers, Holtze's bitter high school rival, and Holtze's just smiling. Still, all these years later, he loves to see when Foothillers struggle.
Yeah, you know, just think of it as Mike Mustakas launches it to right field. Robertson back, and the game is tied. The Royals have now hit 15 home runs on this trip. And this is just game 7. 23 of their 25 runs on this trip have been by way of a home run, and that's number 12 for Mustakas.
Now second home run that Clevenger's given up this year. That ball drifted back over the plate, looked like a little changeup, stayed up. Moose got the back underside for his 12th Moose bomb of the year.
Now a hard slider in for a strike to Kane, who has doubled and grounded out to third. Back into the seats. So yeah, for Holtze and Grossmont, that would be like Chiefs, Raiders, KU-MU. That's the kind of rivalry we're talking about. Okay. Robertson waits. That's out number 2 in the 5th inning. Wildcats fans, make sure you get your K-State night theme ticket for June 2nd when the Royals take on these Indians. The first 5,000 fans through Gate A with this theme ticket will receive a limited edition K-State branded Royals cap courtesy of Fox Sports Kansas City and Rally House. And you can purchase your tickets at royals.com/theme tickets. Hosmer is 1 for 2. He has a half swing infield single, and then he scored on the Moss home run, and that's drilled to the gap in left center. Well, Hosmer checks into second base with 2 down. He's 2 for 3. And now Terry Francona makes his way to the steps in the Indians dugout. The Indians are ready in the bullpen if needed.
That is exactly what's working for him now. That little infield hit might have got him going. Now you see that high flamingo leg kick. I like how he sits down. Look at the bend in that knee right there. But look at the hit position there. Catches the ball back of the plate. He didn't pull it, but that's beautiful swing right there. Stayed inside it, and that was a laser liner for his 8th on the season. 8th double.
Off speed to Salvi.
Can you get your knee to do what Hosses does like that?
I don't think I want my knee to do it. Hosses did. I'm not sure it'll come back in the other direction again.
Well, I can't even straighten mine, let alone get to bend inward like that. Wow. That's good form though, man. His form is right on.
Oh, and 2, and this might be why Terry Francona has left Clevenger in there to face Salvador Perez. Salvi's had a bad time with that curveball. He has struck out twice on that pitch, but they're ready to go in the bullpen. And Terry Francona walked to the steps and then stopped on the steps. That stays inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chatting with his pitching coach Mickey Callaway about who's coming up next.
Don't hang it.
Two balls, 2 strikes. So Clevenger's getting knocked around the last 2 innings, and history would tell you that that's about the time it happens. He's thrown 77 pitches tonight. He's really good in his first 75 pitches, and then things drastically change after pitch number 75. And he got him with a curveball again. So Clevenger 3 times tonight has struck out Salvador Perez with a curve, but 3 batters before that, Mike Mustakas hits his 12th home run to tie the game at 4. And Mike Mustakas have gotten the Royals back into the game. The Royals are down 4-0, and now it's tied at 4. As we revisit our sprint trivia question, Paul Splittorff is the Royals franchise leader in wins against 6 different teams. We've already identified the Indians, the Yankees, and the White Sox.
I'm going to say the Rangers.
How about Boston? No. Daniel Robertson leads off.
Oakland. Ding, ding, ding.
There you go.
We need 2 more. Seattle. The reason I'm saying the West, because back then they were in the American League West. It wasn't. They didn't have the all lined up in the divisions like they do now.
I don't know, however, if the schedule was as unbalanced then as it is now. Robertson lines to left, and Alex is right there. For instance, now the Royals will play the Indians 6 series, but they'll only play the Yankees 2 series. It was more balanced when Split was playing. Well, it was not Tampa Bay.
Oh, they weren't in the league.
It was not Houston. There's a trick team in there. How about the Milwaukee Brewers, formerly of the American League, now in the National League?
You picked up on that.
1 left, Hud. I've taken you this far.
No, you've done good. I got a couple. All right, here we go.
Kipnis is 0 for 2. 2 balls, 1 strike.
How about the Detroit Tigers?
Mike Minor warms up. Kennedy's at 84 pitches. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He only threw 54 pitches in his last start after missing 15 days on the disabled list. How about Minnesota?
Ding, ding, ding.
Where he spent part of his childhood. Kipnis is down on strikes. Now Kennedy has set down 6 in a row.
How about that? You get him back in the game. He's right. Look at Split. We miss him.
It was 6 years ago yesterday.
Ooh.
We were in Baltimore and found out that Split had passed away. Gosh, 6 years. And as it turns out, the very next year we were in Baltimore for the 1-year anniversary.
You just see him sit down Mickey Rivers there. Reggie got to go.
Even with Dick Allen in the lineup many times, he still had 21 wins against the Chicago White Sox.
So every time you brought up Dick Allen.
Well, Split was very humble, very modest, didn't like to talk about his accomplishments as a Royal, being the all-time wins leader.
Okay.
But if there ever was a time where you were thinking, you know, he's getting a little cocky,
yeah,
a little attitude, maybe he was teasing you or razzing you,
right,
you only had to bring up 2 words: Dick Allen, and he would crawl back in his shell.
That's hard.
Sixth inning. You can get access to 30 home games through July for just $99 with the new ballpark summer pass and student pass. Weekends, buck nights and giveaways included, or you can head out to all the remaining student nights for just $44 with your tickets right on your phone. That's $40 it is for student nights. With your tickets right on your phone, you can skip the box office lines and walk right in. Learn more at Royals.com/pass today. Mike Clevenger stays on with Bonifacio, Moss, and Merrifield coming up. Bonifacio was part of the 3-run 4th inning. He singled with 2 outs, and then he and Eric Hosmer scored on the Moss 3-run home run. Our Sonic Slam inning contestant is Terry Peeg from beautiful Lee Summit. And if the Royals hit a home run out of the park in this inning, Terry wins $1,000. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Terry wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Royals. Think about it. All of the home runs the Royals have hit on this road trip, and we have not had one in the 6th inning. What's going on?
$1,000 will play. Jorge, you've got the right guy possibly here.
3 balls and 1 strike.
3-1. Let's see. Uh-oh, you got Moss on deck. It's already hit his 9th 3-run bomb. Got him back in the game. Didn't want him.
Lead off walk. Terry Francona paces the dugout once again as Brandon Moss comes up with a man on. He hit our Jeep drive of the game with 2 on and 2 out in the 4th inning.
You look where Yan Gomes was going to catch that ball. He reached with his backhand way inside. That ball was down and in, and Clever just saying, how'd he hit that? Well, he's got skills. That's why.
So blessed with an early 4-0 lead. Mike Clevenger, after giving up 4, is out after walking the leadoff man in the 6th inning. And Boone Logan jogs in from the Indians dugout to face Mox. Home run as we go to Miami, and that is Giancarlo Stanton, his first home run in 55 at-bats off of one-time Royal Jesse Chavez. That looked like that ricocheted off the facing of the second deck in center field into those hedges.
It's incredible. They say that hit speed was 112 and it was hit 460 feet.
I believe it.
On the line.
Boone Logan is a Chevy call to the bullpen. Brandon Moss with Bonifacio at first base.
Moss going to see a lot of those sliders there. Sliders, fastball from the 6'5", 220 Boone Logan. Now I look down at the left-handed batting average against lefties for Moss. He's hitting .500. 6 for 12, 2 homers and a double off lefties.
Here is the definition of a situational pitcher. Boone Logan has pitched in 23 games this year and gone 9 1/3 innings. Wow. So he comes in and faces one guy, maybe two, and that's it.
What a great way to make a living. Especially if you're good at it. They'll keep you in that role. Big old slider though. Curve, whatever you want to call that. It's a big bender.
Nick Goody, a right-hander, is ready to go. He was ready last inning when Clevenger was struggling to get through the 5th. Of his 23 previous appearances, he has gone a total of 1 inning only 3 times. So the other 20 times he's come on and faced 1, maybe 2 hitters. And then he goes and takes a nice hot shower and calls it a night.
It's a beautiful thing.
Lindor on the right side of second base, flips to the third base from Ramirez, and his throw is offline. Ramirez came up as a shortstop, so he was not out of position at all, handling that toss from Lindor. 1 down. So it's 6-5 on the put out to get Bonifacio.
They had him all swung over there. I'm just trying to rush the throw a little bit. Moss getting up the line nicely.
And with Alex Gordon on deck, Logan will stay on and face Whit Merrifield, who has 2 more hits tonight and a career high 11-game hitting streak.
And he's
Squib foul.
He's hitting .387 against southpaws. Whitley is a different guy now. Last year he was a little bit still on edge because he was new in the game. Now that he's come up here this year, he's very confident, calm, under control. He's an everyday player, and he expects to keep that, and he's going to fight that to keep that position as long as he can. Ride it. Get that 1 hit, 2 hit Whit a game, you're going to stay in there. He's got to keep you in there.
Inside, Logan running it up there at 93. He's been around for a long time, Boone Logan. We saw him come up to the big leagues with the White Sox. And 10 years ago, he got his first major league win against the Royals. 2-2. Three balls, 2 strikes.
Not jumping. He's got down in the count early, but he's getting back in it. Whitley is by laying off some of those chase pitches.
To Lindor. Flip to second, double play. So Logan comes on and gets a couple of outs to the bottom of the 6th in a 4-4 tie. Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals.
Hey, they turned our colors on for us.
Very nice of them. Terminal Tower.
Yeah.
Thank them for that.
That's right.
Now the Royals make a Chevy call to the bullpen, and Mike Minor will begin the bottom of the 6th inning with Brantley, Santana, and Encarnacion coming up. 19 games, a 1.82 ERA.
Love the 176 opponent average. They're not doing much off him. 25 strikeouts in 24 2/3. Whenever strikeouts are more than innings, that's good. It tells you he's got a power pitch. He does. 90 to 96 with that fastball. Slider change.
Slider strike to Michael Brantley. Minor now has 9 consecutive scoreless outings. One and one.
You know, you're good if you can go that many at this level without giving up a run. It tells you he's not making too many mistakes in the middle. And when he does, he has good fortune. He's hitting right at people.
And he's throwing 96 now, and it's an easy 96.
Smooth delivery.
Slider a little bit low, and that pitch was coming in at 90.
And you know, when you're pitching in front of a defense that's has the best fielding percentage in Major League Baseball, that helps.
Fooled on a fastball, as in very late on a fastball, and Brantley strikes out, 1 away.
Hard to get fooled on a fastball. Told me he's looking for something else. And by the time he reacted, it was by him.
There's no better way to enjoy a Royals game than with a group of friends, employees, or customers. Receive discounted ticket rates and a complimentary message on the outfield scoreboard when you purchase 20 or more tickets. Large groups also have the opportunity for complimentary tickets, on-field presentations, and batting practice visits.
Uh-oh.
There's the squirrel.
Critter on the field. You can hear the crowd react.
What is it about a squirrel on a baseball field that gets everybody so excited. I mean, if a squirrel runs through your backyard in the middle of the afternoon, nobody cares.
Right. Well, you just wonder, because all the concrete, all the things going on in this field, and he finds a way to get on the.
I mean, look at people are standing and cheering for a squirrel.
And there's a lot of vegetation, trees, and in the center field area. That's probably where he came from. They're going to go ahead and play.
2-1 on Santana. There are 98 million squirrels in the United States. That's my estimation.
All right.
But one runs on a baseball field, and it's like a dinosaur's running across the field. Look at it. People are taking pictures of a squirrel. When was the last time that lady took a picture of a squirrel?
Oh, I mean, in her backyard today.
Right. I mean, no. I mean, was she taking a picture of it? No.
Now, remember the last time we saw one here, it ran all the way up the bullpen, up the stairs and all that. We were keeping an eye on it.
Now, he's doing a lot of running around, but he's not covering a whole lot of ground. Back-to-back strikeouts for Minor. Every time we show you the squirrel, he's running, but he's basically staying within about 15 square feet. Now he's going to. Maybe that's where he lives.
Good for that young man there to not want to touch it, because that's the first thing you want to do when an animal gets that close. You're like, oh, I want to pet it.
Yeah, because if a squirrel bites you on the hand, you might have to get your arm amputated.
Yeah, you have to go get a tetanus shot if you haven't had one. Minor, those pitches to Santana, he blew him away with 96 and 97 mile-an-hour fastballs. He's feeling it tonight.
One and one on Encarnacion. He is 0 for 2. Escobar and Mustakas were bunched up on the left side, but Encarnacion still was able to get it through, and he's on with 2 outs.
Now you see him over there. Yeah, just found the hole. Look, it was an off-speed pitch. Well, obviously, last year Dayton Moore knew what Mike Minor could do when he's healthy. So they gave him a 2-year deal. Says, hey, look, we'll help you get through it this year, and then next year you'll be a rock star for us. And that's what's happened.
Ball and bat both go back into the netting, and more teams are doing that. They are looking at a player's age. They are looking at past success, and having shoulder surgery and elbow surgery isn't what it was 10 or 15 years ago. Guys are able to bounce back, so you take your chances that they are eventually going to get back to that level, and when they do, you want them on your team. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. One and 2 on Ramirez. As a left-hand batter against Ian Kennedy in the second inning, he took a 3-1 fastball and homered to right field. You still tracking the squirrel?
Yeah, he's in the warning track now. He's heading towards his home in center. He's out of danger for the most part. Let's get some action out there.
So he's behind Lorenzo Cain now. Minor reaches out and snags the one hopper from Ramirez, and he pitches a scoreless bottom of the 6th. The land of the squirrel, Cleveland, Ohio, 4-4 tie. Have started slow with their starting rotation, but Kia puts us in the driver's seat and shows us how good the Indians bullpen has been. They have the lowest ERA. They are 14 out of 16 as a group in save opportunities, so an 87.5 success rate. That is best in the major leagues. Terry Francona went to his bullpen with 1 out in the 6th inning tonight. Boone Logan got 2 outs in the top of the 6th, and now with Alex Gordon at the plate, he will stay on. And if he gets an out right here, Hud, he will tie his season high with 1 inning. But he drills Alex on the first pitch, and that was a gift. Alex may not feel that way right now, but Alex was 1 for 18 in his career against Boone Logan. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Masahiro Tanaka, who the Royals were supposed to face yesterday against the A's with an ERA of 6.56 on the year, 27 in his previous 2 starts, pitching well against Oakland. Max Scherzer, 8 innings, 11 strikeouts against San Diego, and Jake Junis, who made a start on this trip in Minnesota, 5 innings, 1 hit, 8 strikeouts at Nashville.
Nice. Jake believes he's a big league pitcher. That's what you should. Just because you're in AAA doesn't mean you can't have that kind of confidence in yourself.
Now Shaw to face Escobar, who pushes a bunt. Santana goes to second and gets Gordon.
Just a little bit too firm. Good idea, but a little too firm. And Santana, he believed he could get that force at second. He stayed with his conviction and got the play done, but a little bit too much of the barrel here. You can see how that he barreled it. Sometimes you just want to hit off the end of the bat. This one here was a little bit too solid. Esky would have had a clean base hit, so Santana made the right decision.
Tough play for a right-hand throwing first baseman.
Sure is. He's showing some skills there.
22nd appearance for Brian Shaw. So he gets an out from Escobar, and now Mike Mustakas, who tied the game with 1 out in the 5th inning with his 12th home run of the year. And he grounds it out to Lindor. The only chance that Lindor has is a double play to take matters into his own hands. They get the out at first, and now Escobar is out on the rundown. There was no cover man with the shift over at second base, so that was Lindor's only option, and he gets the double play. Led 4-0. Mike Minor, who just gets better every time he gets the ball. Pitched a scoreless bottom of the 6th inning with a couple of strikeouts.
How about it? He's still at it. Good fielding play. Helped himself there. He's a nice athlete as well.
Yan Gomes, Bradley Zimmer, and Daniel Robertson, the lower third of the Indians order. Gomes struck out twice against Kennedy. Ian went 5 innings tonight. He only gave up 3 hits. Had a couple of walks turned into runs. He was charged with 4 runs. He struck out 4. And then Minor pitched the 6th.
See that look right there that we just saw of Minor with his glove all fanned out like that? That's what a hitter looks at. And when you're looking for a tendency of a pitcher to to wiggle his fingers or glove or trying to pick a pitch from him. It's hard when he just sits there like that with that stoic look and keeping the glove in the same fan position. And then he's been blowing the ball by on Gomes. It's 3 heaters in a row, or 2 in a row. A very smooth delivery. That ball gets on you in a hurry. It's deceptive. 3-4 in a row. Watch it. Just sitting there, and hitters watching for any little tweaking of the glove, any little twitching, anything like that. Now it's the first breaking ball he's thrown. Try to get him to swing on the outside part of the plate. And put that glove up there again and hold it in the same spot every time.
Third strikeout, and all of his strikeouts tonight have been with his fastball.
Smooth fastball saying, here, hit it.
Hope to see you at Kauffman Stadium on June 6th against the Astros. It's our next T-shirt Tuesday, and the first 10,000 fans through the gates receive this one-of-a-kind Sheriff Sal T-shirt presented by Price Chopper. The Sheriff. Bobbled by Merrifield. Bradley can really run, and Merrifield pays the price as Zimmer's on with 1 out.
Heard some scouts at dinner time talking tonight about how Zimmer can really fly. Watch this, a routine out, and any ground ball to the second baseman, he's going to beat it out if the guy doesn't make a good play. Now that ball kind of bit Whitley a little bit, kind of hopped up on him. He couldn't get the handle the first time through, and it was too late. Zimmer's a gazelle.
Just the second error for Merrifield and just the 16th error for the Royals all year. Down and away, ball 1 to Daniel Robertson. And remember, every time the Royals turn a double play, the next day McDouble sandwiches are only $1 at McDonald's. And participating KC, St. Joe, and Lawrence McDonald's locations. Broken bat, Minor off balance. A strike to Merrifield.
Oh.
Double play.
Talk about athleticism. On the dead run with he didn't set his feet. He was off balance. Way to help yourself. They wouldn't have turned to it. He let Esky get to it. Beautiful roll.
See you at McDonald's tomorrow.
Yeah.
4-0 Indians at the end of 3. Then the Royals got 3 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th. And now the game is in the hands of the bullpens. Neither bullpen has surrendered a run yet. Ryan Shaw begins his first full inning. Came on with a man on in the 7th inning and got a force out and then a double play. It'll be Kane, Hosmer, and Perez in the 8th.
That's hittable there now. That's his big curveball. Shaw, he's tough to figure out. Throws across his body. That left leg of his, he'll step towards the third base dugout and then throw across his body. Tough to pick up. Sinks and cuts that fastball. Ooh, man. Those last two were elevated. That was a little cutter there. Slider, curve, change. He's got them all, but he has a really quick motion and is one of the best relievers in baseball. I mean, he's a guy who says, here it is, come get it. And everything moves. A lot of movement.
Line base hit. Robertson backed up to get a long hop. Leadoff man on for the Royals in the 8th inning, and that's Kane's second hit tonight.
He'll take it. Good way to start this inning here. Tito's going to wear a mound path out to the mound from the dugout like he likes to do. Mix and match. I think it's time for his big lefty.
Andrew Miller to face Eric Hosmer when we come back. Royals baseball is brought to you by Thoroughbred Ford. Every day there's a great deal waiting for you at Thoroughbred Ford. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less. A lot of winning going on lately. Quicken Loans Arena, which is about 100 feet away from Progressive Field. Andrew Miller comes on with Kane at first, nobody out, 8th inning. And he'll get Eric Hosmer, who has 2 hits and a run scored. A 0.38 earned run average for Andrew Miller.
Tough. He's definitely tough to square up. Nobody's hitting him.
Big sweeping breaking ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hosmer's done well against him. 12 at bats, 4 hits, 1 extra base hit.
And he does have a 0.38, so someone has gotten him. I mean, you know, that's the positive. You say, look, he's got to have a 0.00. You can get him.
Lindor,
Tesser.
tough play, and it's under his glove, and that'll get Kane to third.
Yes, that's exactly what the Royals needed here. The old style, put the ball in play, pressure the defense and see what happens, and that's a break against Miller. Now with nobody out first and third, and some pretty good hitters coming up for the Royals here, nice opportunity to take the lead. I'll take a break. Look at this. He came in. Now he tried to get the short hop, but he just, his glove was a little bit too high and it stuck up underneath it.
And he's going to get hit with an error. That's a tough error.
It's only his fourth. He's good.
So first and third, nobody out.
I think too many people are concerned about him and his field. He's good. That's why it's a shock to see it get by him. So what he wants to do, Salvador, try to put it in play. You know, if he does ground into a double play, the run will score. The infield's back. Salvi's a .235 hitter in risk. Ouch.
Second time he's done that tonight.
Miller, 94 to 98. Fastball, cutter, curve, change.
Two and one.
You're just trying to see him up, locate him up in a spot up, and if it doesn't matter what the pitch is, if it hits there, just try to stay short to the ball and put it in play.
Santana will have room. One down. Miller was the Yankees closer 2 years ago, and then was the setup man for Aroldis Chapman with the Yankees, and then he and Chapman were both traded away from New York. Miller coming here and remained the setup man for Cody Allen, but was so good in the postseason. And he was the ALCS MVP for the Indians against the Blue Jays. You say that Bonifacio went around. No balls and one strike. So do you try and make something happen right here?
It's not a bad idea.
You allow Bonifacio, who's swinging the bat well, to make it happen by swinging away.
It's not a bad idea to maybe move Haas and then see what they do with the throw. You got one of your best base runners at third base, Lorenzo Cain. I mean, a double steal is something that doesn't happen all that often. But, you know, it's tough to get any runs off of this bullpen. We'll see. I'm going to trust Bonifacio. As good as he is and short with his swing.
0-2.
It's the first time he's probably ever faced Miller.
And Terry Francona last year, he used a reliever from yesteryear, if you will. He turned Miller into a fireman, brought him in any time of the game when there was a fire that needed to be put out. Hosmer runs, and it's pulled foul. And Miller accepted that role. Sometimes he'd come in the 7th inning, sometimes in the 8th inning, sometimes in the 5th inning. Earlier, much earlier in the game when they were in the postseason, and he accepted that role and was a big part of the reason why the Indians had a major league record 5 shutouts in last year's postseason.
When you have a weapon like him, you know, any manager is going to be able to be successful, but Francona, he manages outside of the box sometimes. Look at Haas
running again.
Yes!
That's line to deep left field over Brantley. Bonifacio comes through. He drives home Cain. He drives home Hosmer. And the Royals lead 6-4 in the 8th inning.
Trust him. You better believe you trust him. He's got quick hands. And looking for a half-inch mistake, he got a 2-inch mistake from Miller, and he didn't miss it. He barreled it. Oh man, you know, that's rare. Like I said, he does have an ERA, and there's no chance for Brantley to catch that. He barreled it. Haas is moving. Look at him. A good idea. Now he put the brakes on, but he sped up again quickly. Timely. That's why Bonifacio's getting starts.
And now Bonifacio will go to third on a pitch that tied up Gomes. I don't know if Gomes was expecting that. So he and Miller will talk it over. Runner at third with one out. That's a pass ball.
Yeah. Oh man, look at that. Now Miller, he knew on contact that ball was tattered and battered. Some backspin. Short hop the wall. It's going to happen. You know, as great as our Royals bullpens were in 14 and 15, and you know, every once in a while they would give up a hit like that. So it does happen. That's why you got to believe in the Royals. That's timely. I mean, this is late in the ball game. Rare that you can get a hit off of Miller. Shaw on top of that, but Facio, man, he don't care. He's like, look, I don't care who you are. It's my turn up here, and I'm going to show you what I can do. And that's confidence. And when you play with that kind of confidence, with the talent you have, there you go. You got a productive big league young hitter.
2-2 on Moss, who had a 2-out, 3-run home run in the 4th inning. The Indians had a 4-0 lead at that point. So Moss made it a 1-run game. Mustakas tied it with a home run in the 5th, and now the Royals have 2 in the 8th, and they lead for the first time tonight. Royals had 8 consecutive losses in this ballpark coming into tonight, and they were down 4-0 at the end of 3.
It's showing a lot.
Miller gets the strikeout with his fastball. 2 down for Merrifield. Two hits for Witt tonight, 2 singles. Into the netting over near the Royals dugout. No balls, 1 strike.
Did you just say 2-hit Witt? What a nice name he's got, huh? Put those 2 hits together. Look at that 270 average. Nice. That's a pop. He only hit 2 home runs last year in 300 at bats. He's got 5 already.
High drive left field. Brantley back and has just enough room.
Oh.
Step away from the wall. Jorge Bonifacio. What a trip he's had. He drives in 2 more. He has driven in 9 on this road trip.
Hip, hip, Jorge. Yes. got a 2-run lead, 6-4, bottom of the 8th inning. Here we are at Progressive Field. Check out Andrew Miller, one of the beasts, one of the best left-handed beasts there are. Threw him a fastball, looked like it might have been a little cutter in there. Look at this, how wide this base is. Okay, folks, check this out. Check out his feet here. We showed it to you earlier in New York. He's comfortable. All he does is just picks up his foot and he sets it down, and then he stays through the ball very nicely with his arms. His hands and his head position is really nice. And I'll tell you what, when you're short to the ball like that, you have very room for little mistake at all. And you're just going to go with it. He did it. He got the back underside, and he backspin it to the 370 mark and cleaned up the sacks. It was on it. It's beautiful. Short, compact. We'll see if Jack can hold him down.
It'll be Kipnis, Lindor, and Brantley, the top of the Indians order. Mike Minor pitched 2 scoreless innings, the 6th and the 7th. Ian Kennedy, well, he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. He ended his outing retiring the last 8, and now Minor with 2 scoreless innings. Right to Alex, and he brings it down. And now Francisco Lindor comes to the plate, and I got to think, every time he thinks of Joakim Soria, he remembers this. June of 2015, his first major league hit, and down he goes. So excited. And he stumbled over first base, ate some dirt, and the pitcher for the Tigers that day was Joakim Soria.
Oh man, well, that was a good shot there, but I hope it didn't happen here. But how embarrassing! Get your first hit and you fall down. It was a double. He had a double
until he hit the dirt. He's 1 for 3 tonight with a run scored and an RBI. And he has been an RBI machine in his career against the Royals. This is his 33rd game against the Royals, and he has 33 RBIs. Down in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Salvi made that look good, didn't he? Sitting out there on the outside part of the plate. Jack, 4 or 5 pitch mix guy. He's fastball, slider, curve, slow curve, and a split finger, change up. He's having a nice bounce back season this year, right when they needed him to.
Still 2-2. Cleveland comes in 3 games above 500, 2 games back in the division. They've lost 3 straight at home, 5 of their last 6 at home. And I mentioned the Royals have lost 8 straight here. They went 1-9 at Progressive Field last season. That's the most losses in franchise history at one place in one season. And we're down early tonight, 4-0 at the end of 3, and now leads 6-4 with 1 out in the 8th. Mustakas dives, but it's through the left side, and Lindor is on with 1 out. It's his 2nd hit tonight.
Well, he cued that. It's a good pitch. Soria took something off, and he just kind of fought it out there and find a hole. Better than walking him. That's to make him earn it.
MLB.com At Bat is your #1 mobile app for live Royals baseball. Customize At Bat to stay close to the Royals with home screen icons, live scores, news, stats, video highlights, radio broadcasts, and more. And you can download MLB.com At Bat right now. Ball 1 to Michael Brantley. Brantley drove in a run in the 3rd inning. Indians got a home run from Ramirez in the 1st. And then 3 more in the 3rd. Lindor, Brantley, and Santana drove in the runs in the 3rd inning. They have not scored since.
That's he was rolled up 3. We'll take it. Right here would be really nice. Brantley's grounded into 2 double plays this year. Well, 4-6-3 here.
3-0. Carlos Santana's on deck. After him, Edwin Encarnacion. Swinging 3-0 and really didn't get a very good swing.
No.
Lucky to see another pitch.
Was lucky.
It is 6-4 Royals in the 8th inning. In the 3-game series at Kauffman Stadium earlier this month, it was 5-4 Indians in the entire series. Only 9 combined runs in that 3-game series. There were only 4 home runs in that entire 3-game series, and we've seen 3 tonight. Two on with 1 out.
Hey, Joaquin can keep his cool, stay calm here. There's just 1 out. He just keeps that ball down in that lower part of the strike zone, and maybe he can get a double play here. Now, Soria in his career off Santana's done pretty well. 182 average. Keep it down and see if he can roll 1 up and get out of this inning. Santana's rolled into 4 double plays. Now, if you get him, maybe you can get him away. He likes to pull the ball. He's looking to juice 1 here. So stay soft away on him. Maybe you can get that effect. Yeah, beauty. What was the pitch? There's no check swing. That's exactly where you want to put on him. Keep it down right there. If that was his fastball, that had some great movement. Do it again right there. Same spot.
Threw it by him. 0-2.
Okay, you got your infield all kind of spread out right here. You got them all ready. Everything's covered. Everything's covered.
Salvi tried to pull it back into the strike zone. 1-2.
You know, that pitch, not, you know, that's exactly what you want to do. 0-2. It's designed to make the hitter swing at it. You don't want necessarily looking for a called third there, but you don't want to put it in his wheelhouse. It's got a lot of power.
Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Longtime Indians fan, John Adams. The top row of the bleachers in left field, pounding the rally drum. A little harder to hear him tonight with a big crowd. With 1 out, Lindor singled, and then Brantley walked. And now they're going to talk over this 1-2 pitch to Santana.
When in doubt, talk it out. No question about it, especially in this part of the game. Orioles offense has worked hard, like you mentioned, down by 4, coming back, showing some power. It's really been a huge weapon for him on this road trip. That's right, sir. We're hoping for it here.
Skips away from Salvi, but no advance. 2-2.
That ball got by Salvi far enough where they could advance with Lindor. And with his speed, I'm surprised he didn't jump and go on that. Big slow curve, kicks off of Salvi's waist, and you got Brantley over there. They could have advanced. That would have really helped get a run. Fortunately, they didn't. See if Soria can put him in the lane here.
Center field, and Kane makes a play. 2 down. And now Edwin Encarnacion, who has much better numbers against Soria than Santana did. He is 1 for 3 tonight with a single. So 2 on, 2 out.
This guy here, he likes the ball middle in, like most power hitters, and they're going to come in there. Ooh.
Might want to be careful trying that again.
Yeah, Salvi wanted it in, and it missed by about 2-3 inches right out of the plate. Encarnacion, he's like, how'd I miss that?
Salvi had the right idea with where his glove was. But Soria threw it by him. And now he's ahead in the count. No balls, 2 strikes.
His job, that slow curve's good. Just make sure to keep that below the knees. Should be in business.
This will be the 25th pitch of the inning for Soria, who looks like Michael Pineda the other night. There's a lot of time in between pitches, a lot of strolls around the mound in between batters. And now he throws it all the way to the backstop. Salvi throws to second, figuring that Brantley didn't get the same read that Lindor did. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That looked like a cross-up.
Second and third, you got first base open now. It's 0-2 count, excuse me, 1-2 count. First base is open if you don't want to pitch to Encarnacion, but then now you got a reliever, I mean a left-handed Ramirez.
And a fresh count.
Yeah, I'm thinking that let's just try to sneak one by him here. or underneath his bat. Pop it up. Sac fly would work now with 2 outs. Got him. Beautiful.
So he gets around the single and the walk. And with Edwin Encarnacion at the plate, the Indians leave 2 in scoring position. We go to the 9th, and the Royals lead by 2. Innings and keeping the Royals lead into the 9th inning, 6-4, and the Royals have the lead because of our Honda play of the game with 2 on, 1 out in the 8th inning.
Oh, I'm not throwing him anything out over the plate. Look at those hands. Lethal. I mean to tell you, that was timely. 2 huge ribbies. Yes, sir. Give yourself a clap and a bow for that, because hitting that left-hander, he's a beast. Great job.
And now Zach McAllister to face Gordon, Escobar, and Mustakas. So this Indians bullpen with the lowest ERA in the American League. They've allowed the 2 runs. One of the runs was unearned, but 2 runs nonetheless.
You can see his strikeouts to innings pitched, big, strong. He's mid to upper 90s. Fastball, slider, curve change. He's got all 4. He's a power slider guy.
Two and on Alex, who is 0 for 2, including being hit by a pitch. Also lost a hit on Cleveland's best defensive play tonight when Michael Brantley went up against the wall in left field. Line caught by Kipnis. So Alex could easily be 2 for 3 tonight, but he's been the victim of the Indians' 2 best defensive plays.
Wouldn't you know it? That's how it goes. Solid contact, and you know, just gotta hang with it. Stay at it. Game's not easy. If it was, everyone would be in line to play.
Ball 1 to Escobar. He is 0 for 4. That was a swing. 1-1. Royals scored their first 4 runs tonight on home runs. Brandon Moss hit a 3-run home run. Mike Mustakas added a solo home run that tied the game at 4. 1-2 on Escobar. They have hit 15 home runs on this trip. And this is game 7. Callister gets another strikeout, 2 down in the 9th inning. And now Mustakas. Homered against starter Mike Clevenger with 1 out in the 5th inning. He has 12 to retake the team lead. He is now 3 off the league lead. Aaron Judge of the Yankees, Mike Trout of the Angels are tied for the league lead with 15. One and one.
Pretty much can look dead red off McAllister. Dead red is a term a ball player uses for that fastball. He pick out some dead red. Another term.
That is over Santana and into the corner. Mike Mustakas is on with a 2-out double.
7th double. It's the 3rd double tonight by the Royals. Starting picking up in that category. Now he's looking dead red, but he threw him a wrinkle. So when you're looking for the fastball, sometimes that speeds the bat up. You've heard me say that before, but that's the truth. And he just whacked it right over there. Goes down that line.
Two home runs, 4 doubles for the Royals tonight. Lorenzo Cain had the first 2-out double in the 1st inning, and he has a 2-hit game. 6 runs, 11 hits. Royals have out-hit Cleveland 11-5 tonight. Good spot. 1-1 on Cain. Two huge hits for the Royals tonight. One of them by that man, Brandon Moss, on the right. A 3-run home run in the 4th inning. That turned a 4-0 Indians lead into a 4-3 Indians lead. And then the 2-run double by Bonifacio in the 8th. Robertson fades back and makes the play. And that'll do it for the Royals in the 9th. Kelvin Herrera will get Jose Ramirez, Yan Gomes, and Bradley Zimmer. 4-0 at the end of 3, and now here they are leading 6-4 in the bottom of the 9th inning with Kelvin Herrera taking the mound, looking for a refreshing save from Price Chopper and Aquafina. Sign up at mypricechopper.com to save on Aquafina when the Royals get a save. The scheduled hitters are Jose Ramirez, Yan Gomes, and Bradley Zimmer. Terry Francona also has Roberto Perez, Eric Gonzalez, and the veteran Austin Jackson on the bench. Austin Jackson just came back from the disabled list today.
It's very nice that Soria could navigate his way through the meat of that order and the power, and he did a good job there. It's not going to be easy, and I'm not saying these guys aren't easy either, but for Herrera, he should be able to close it down here, especially the great come from behind action here in game 1. Before the game, we talked about how, you know, the Royals players need to have amnesia. Forget about all the losses they've had here. Let's go out and start it right here, and they've done a good job so far. 3 more outs. Mid to upper 90s fastball. Herrera possesses a beautiful changeup at 88 and occasional sliders.
Left center field, and Kane onto the track to get Ramirez. 1 down in the 9th. Let's get a preview of Boulevard Royals live from Joel.
Well, a lot to discuss here tonight, Ryan, as Kelvin Herrera tries to hold on. Royals once again swinging for the fences and doing a lot of damage that way. And a minor accomplishment, or maybe we should say no minor accomplishment, because the Indians could do nothing against left-hander Mike Minor. We will talk about him. He has been incredible. Jeff Montgomery analysis, reaction from Ned Yost, and much more coming up on Boulevard Royals Live.
All right, Joel, here's Yan Gomes with 1 out. And he's on the first pitch, but fouls it away. Gomes 2 for 8 against Herrera, 0 for 3 with the hat trick tonight.
Time to give him the golden.
Struck out looking in the 2nd inning, struck out swinging in the 4th. That was against Kennedy, and then struck out swinging against Minor in the 7th. On the ground to Escobar. 2 down in the 9th inning.
The thing about Herrera this year, and with the closer's role, what I've noticed is that he's not up there trying to blow guys away, and he's learning how to do that. He's gotten in trouble a few times, giving up a few home runs with his slider, but for the most part, he's pitching to contact. He just wants to get to the outs. There are some times with men on, he'll have to bear down and blow guys away, and that's when you do that. Right now, he's saying, hey, look, here, 2 sliders in a row.
Hurt by a changeup in the Minnesota series against Kenny Vargas coming off the bench.
Elevated.
Bradley Zimmer with 2 down. Off the end of the bat. And the Indians are still alive, and now the potential tying run comes to the plate. That's Zimmer's first hit tonight. And it will be Austin Jackson. Just came off the disabled list tonight. He had been out with a hyperextended left big toe. Lonnie Chisenhall was placed on the disabled list today by the Indians with a concussion. Down and away, ball 1. One ball, 1 strike. Just coming at him with fastballs. When he faced Vargas in Minnesota, who came on as a pinch hitter, 9th inning, late in the game, He went back-to-back changeups, and Vargas hit the second one out of the ballpark. And this time Herrera's not messing around.
No. Especially game one here. Huge win for the Royals. Beautiful job.
So a come-from-behind victory to end an 8-game losing streak here in Cleveland.
El Toro! Ole! How about Moss continuing to stay hot? What a beautiful start to this series here, little 3-game. Jorge Bonifacio putting on a clinic on how to stay short with your swing, compact in a clutch situation against one of the best relievers in baseball. Wow, first time he's ever faced Miller. Oh, he'd be backspin him to the wall at 370. 2 big stakes.
So Moss, with his home run, has now hit 5 home runs in his last 8 games. That was big hit number 1. And then Jorge Bonifacio against one of the best, some might say the best reliever in the major leagues, Andrew Miller, his 2-run double. He has driven in 9 on this road trip.
Minor with the W. Way to go.
And Jorge is standing by with Joel outside the Royals dugout.
What a road trip for Jorge Bonifacio. Now 9 RBIs. Let's talk about your approach against Andrew Miller. This is one of the best relievers in all of baseball. He'd only given up 1 run this year. What was your approach against him?
When I step up in the play, I just was looking for fastball. And as soon as I don't hit the first pitch, and I was hitting on breaking ball. And he's the best pitch he got.
You've never faced him before. All the rest of these guys know how difficult he can be. Are you